Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Yusuf Aram. After buying Twitter, now known as X, Elon Musk became a central figure with influence reaching far beyond Silicon Valley. From Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Musk regularly meets with world leaders to discuss everything from electric vehicles to space travel. He also has a close connection with Türkiye, a nation with bold ambitions in both those sectors. Could deeper collaboration be on the horizon now that he'll be part of the Trump administration? Arve Duman has the story.
Türkiye is powering ahead to establish itself as a global force in two transformative industries: electric vehicles and space exploration. From launching Target's first EV to sending its first astronaut into space and deploying its first domestically made satellite, the Turksat 6A, Ankara is making technology a cornerstone of its future.
In the first manned space mission of Turkey, as the first Turkish citizen takes a step into space, I would like to begin my speech with the words of the founder of our Turkish Republic, our esteemed leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The future is in the skies.
To showcase its tech innovations and inspire the next generation, Türkiye hosts Teknofest, an annual event that draws students, industry leaders, and global tech enthusiasts.
Turks want technology. I mean, look at the reaction again to the drone technology. Teknofest, how many young Turks appear at that?
This year's event even captured the attention of the world's richest man, Elon Musk, whose expertise in space travel and EVs aligns with Turkey's ambitions. President Erdogan even personally invited him to attend. Musk, now poised to play a key role in the incoming Trump administration, is set to merge technology and governance in new ways. But it's his achievements with SpaceX and Tesla that Ankara finds most promising. Musk's connection with Türkiye dates back to 2017 when he met Erdogan to discuss launching Turkish satellites. Last year, they reunited in New York, exploring opportunities for a Tesla factory in Türkiye and potential cooperation on Starlink, Musk's global satellite internet network. In July, SpaceX successfully launched Turksat 6A, Ankara's first domestically built communications satellite.
Go for launch.
And there's that final go for launch from our launch director. So let's sit back and watch as Falcon takes the Turksat 6A mission to space.
Erdogan highlighted the importance of tech partnerships, stating that Musk is a businessman whom Ankara can take steps with in the space and technology field. Whether through Starlink's connectivity, Tesla's innovations, or SpaceX's advancements, a partnership with Musk could position Türkiye as a global technology leader.
For more, joining me now from London is Manas Chawla. He's the co-founder and director of Oxbridge Diplomatic Academy. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, Amy Koch. She's a political strategist. And from Washington, D.C., Halit Mirahmetoglu. He's the general manager at the GUHEM Space and Aviation Training Center. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about the talented Mr. Musk today. Manas, let's start with you. Is Elon Musk the most powerful non-head of state individual in the world right now?
I think he absolutely is, and I think that this is something that precedes the re-election of Donald Trump. I think you've had a trend of corporate leaders, of individual personalities buying their way into politics, and that's something that Elon Musk has done, but he's politically relevant in other ways as well. Whether that is his control of X, which has been heavily politicized ever since he bought it, or his ownership of Starlink, which has played a major role in the war in Ukraine. I mean, clearly propping up the Ukrainian army within the first couple of weeks of the war. But soon afterward, Elon Musk, imposing his own geopolitical opinions on the Ukrainian military, and once, or at least once, sabotaging a Ukrainian attack on the Russians. So whether it's the theater of war in Europe, the domestic political situation in the U.S., or the United States relationships with key allies Elon Musk has been a huge part of all of that. Remember, he joined calls with Zelensky, with Erdogan. He's met Meloni and Prime Minister Modi individually. So he clearly has a very, very important presence on the scene today.
Amy, as Manas said, was already a powerful and very rich individual before he bought X. But how much did X amplify his influence?
Well, X amplified his influence, but he amplified it in a very savvy way. He got in early on Trump 47, and he got in a really big way. Money definitely talks in politics, and American politics in particular, in a big way. But more than that, and this is not being naive, relationships talk. And Elon Musk went in. He's on the stage with Donald Trump. He's behind the scenes in finding other endorsements. He literally he was running in the campaign. And all of that gets you a relationship that money can't buy. And then putting all his chips on the table for Trump paid off. Trump won. He won in a big way. And so the idea, Elon Musk went from one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, to like a next stratosphere when it comes to sort of power and influence in the world.
Halit, I want to ask you about X as well. How much of an impact do you think it has on elections, on shaping public opinion on major issues, on promoting and raising awareness over some issues?
He is a visionary leader, and he is trying to be on the spot all the time. And that's why having his own social media, I guess it's helped a lot. I mean, we are looking, of course, from the Turkey point of view. The social media also influenced the elections, but of course, it's hard to investigate how much it affects the elections and the current decision-making processes.
Manas, when we look at the elections, and especially the campaign of President-elect Donald Trump, you have J.D. Vance campaigning. You have RFK, who's very important in getting the independent vote. You have Tulsi Gabbard, who is also important in getting the independent vote. Vivek reaching the young vote as well. How important was Elon Musk being part of that campaign?
Well, like Amy said, money matters hugely in American politics, and Elon brought a lot of the money. His campaign donations were the largest in American political history. At some point, he was pledging in the neighborhood of $45 million a month. And, in the crucial lead up to Election Day in states like Pennsylvania, he effectively had a ballot for folks that would sign a pledge, kind of a legal workaround to effectively paying people to vote for Donald Trump. So he made a huge influence that way, and a huge influence in another way through his control of X, right? X has become far more right-wing after Musk's ownership of the platform. It's become better at promoting Donald Trump's sort of agenda and that of his presidency. And helping shape the narrative is another thing that Elon Musk has done. And finally, he's attracted kind of an entire new demographic that Trump never had access to, which is these Musk crypto community sort of people that are intensely involved in the tech sector, have very libertarian views, do not like big government, but so far, found themselves disillusioned with both ends of the political axis that have now found a home in the Trump administration. People like Musk, people like Peter Thiel, who connected Vance to Trump, they're all part of sort of the same pattern.
Amy, Elon donated a lot of money to Trump, but he also kind of brought X with him. What was more important for Trump getting elected? Was it the money or was it X?
That's like asking you to choose between two children, right?
Well, and one more question. One more I want to add. There's this now, "We are the media now" slogan in X also with the citizen journalism. I'd also want you to answer that as well.
Yeah, so here's the deal. So Trump actually was the first candidate on a presidential level that utilized then Twitter in a really effective way, right? And so then Elon seeing that bought this, and I think a lot of people, frankly, laughed at him for the amount of money he paid for it. That it was a dying platform. There was all, Threads came up, a bunch of other social media came up that was going to take it out, and he just pushed through. He made it efficient. He streamlined it, and it continues to be, despite all these other sort of like competitors, to be the place for political discourse in America. I mean, there's no, you can't have like sort of the Donald Trump tried it with True Social. It doesn't work when you've got one side. You need both sides, and the only place with that kind of big forum is X. The only place that people still go to read about each other and to tweet and to X back and forth or whatever you call it is that. As a politician, I have to be on X. That's where the conversation is.
Halit, I want to talk about another one of Elon's assets, SpaceX. You're a space guy. How important is SpaceX for countries that want to take that first step towards space exploration? What type of benefits does it provide?
I mean, it's so clear right now. It's almost the only way to reach the orbits in an effective way, especially for commercial actors. Of course, there are other launch providers from other countries, but they are not as effective and they are not as cheap like the SpaceX provides. Turkey, especially, 3 years ago, Erdogan announced its space policies and especially 10 strategic 10 strategic goals. And one of the goals actually to reach to the orbit via a spaceport. And from this point of view, of course, I mean, for the last satellites like TürkSat 6A launched by SpaceX or human space flights, we were cooperating with Axiom Space and launched our first astronauts, the Turkish astronaut Alper Gezer via SpaceX. So cooperation is already there. And I guess the Turkey wants to enlarge completely this cooperation for space because Turkey has an ambitious space program right now.
Manas, $44 billion for X. It was crazy money at the time, and a lot of people questioned the acquisition. Has Elon gotten his money's worth?
I mean, I think it's certainly paid off, and it's at the point where the amount of political influence, the amount of social influence that this has brought Elon is a huge asset. But more than that, remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter and some of the early days in the first 30 days, lots of the experts were saying that this platform would collapse. It would be no more, that his sort of mismanagement of it would lead to what would effectively be a worthless asset. That hasn't been the case. If X has retained a lot of its market value, I would say it's less credible now as a source of news. I think having both sides on the platform is incredibly important, but a lot of the Democrats, a lot of the left-wing sort of commentators are leaving X for Blue Sky, and I think that's a big problem for its sort of long-term credibility. But regardless, I think the position that he sits in now and the amount of power and influence he wields now is significantly more than before he'd bought X, and that was a huge part of the strategy.
Amy, I want to ask you if you can appraise, if it's intangible influence, what type of dollar value would you put on the political influence X has brought Elon, and also his relationship with President-elect Donald Trump, especially when Elon's dealing with foreign leaders in foreign countries? Where's the line between businessman and U.S. official?
There is. This is going to be a very interesting foray into that question, right? We've not had sort of this very open friendship, relationship, business partnership / government official with Elon going into running DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. We've never seen a character in American history with that kind of influence. So the value of X is, it's exponentially X, to be honest with you, and because it is in America. And other world leaders are going to be looking to Elon and working with Elon, which he's already been doing anyway across the globe, but even in a very much bigger way. If you want to get a conversation with Donald Trump on whether it's doing with space, doing like geopolitical concerns, economic concerns. The way to get to Trump is going to be largely through Elon Musk. And so, I mean, honestly, the sky is the limit on the value of X at this point, in my opinion.
Halit, you're a general manager, you're running a business. When you look at Elon Musk and decide whether to do business with him or not, are you now going to be thinking, well, there might be some political risks attached? What happens if next election the Democrats come back and they view Elon as a political target and they might target his business relationships? Would this be something on your mind, something that might cause you concern?
If I was doing business, I hope I can do business with him my way. He is trying to give the mutual benefits to his partners, but at the same time, he's trying to safeguard his own interests and trying to put his vision in the center. So that's why, I mean, I don't see any problem, even the government change afterwards, because it gives a huge technological power to the United States at the moment. I guess it's something that's unbreakable. There's only one person which can break this vision, is Elon Musk himself. Yeah.
Manas, you mentioned Starlink in your opening answer. I want to ask you a little about that. How influential, advantageous, or concerning is Starlink? Can Elon put his finger on the scale of a conflict? Can Elon put his finger on the scale of domestic unrest when it's happening in foreign countries? And should people be worried about this?
I mean, it's exactly, I think, the right question to ask and the most important question. If you look at what happened in Ukraine just 2 days after the war had begun on the 24th of February in 2022, I think it was the deputy prime minister of Ukraine who needed to keep his military connected to the online grid. And he didn't go to the Pentagon, he didn't go to the Department of Defense, he didn't go to NATO, he went to tweet at Elon Musk. 8 hours later, Starlink terminals were rolling into the country. And most experts agree this is what kept, there's a huge part of what kept, Russia from reaching Kiev in the sort of early days of the war. But like I mentioned before, all of this is at the behest of Elon Musk. And so when he disagrees with the policy stance of a client of his, right, in this case, the Ukrainian government, he's not afraid to restrict access to those very technologies, which in many situations can be a life or death situation, right? When he sabotaged the Ukrainian attack on Russia, that was a huge change in the calculus of the war. And, leaders around the world are using Starlink services, realistically, because they're the only company of its kind that can provide that technology. Are crucially reliant on Musk. This became a huge topic as well when it came to supporting the Israeli army with what's happening right now, the sort of humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. So Elon Musk certainly has almost entirely autocratic sort of autocratic control over how he uses Starlink, and Starlink easily has the potential to shape entire geopolitical conflicts.
Amy, I want your take on Starlink as well.
Yeah, well, whether it's Starlink or SpaceX, the talented Mr. Musk controls what has been traditionally, kind of government level entities. And he not only controls them, but he does them in a better, more efficient, more cost effective way than governments ever could. He does them faster, he does them better. And so again, the power there is great. But also he's been very smart with that power. When we had lots of flooding and storms here in particularly the southwest part of the United States, south in the south seaboard, southwest seaboard, he brought in Starlink free of charge for those governors because we had people for days, months that were not being able to be reached. We didn't know who was alive, and it was Starlink that was brought in, and without a doubt saved lives. And he was able to do that in a matter of, as you said, in a matter of hours.
Halit, another one of Elon Musk's major goals is to become a multiplanetary race, humankind. Now, obviously, Mars on the agenda, colonizing there. Is this a reality in the near future? Is this something that we're going to see? And also, what type of power does that give him being the first one there, or which countries cooperate with him going there?
Oh, well, this is something that we keep discussing among the scientists and engineers. Will we be able to see human habitation for the next 50 years in another planet or so? Elon Musk wants to do that. And actually, the first time in 2016, he announced his ambitious plans to go to Mars, and with his wording, colonizing Mars. Of course, it's not easy, but the current technological demonstration shows that we are able to do so. It's just costing so much money. Many studies shows that the billionaires will take a huge role on this challenge. And currently, just yesterday, actually, he appointed another billionaire as the NASA administrator. So by looking from this point of view, I guess it might happen, not so short time, but at least the direction is on that side.
Manas, I want to ask you now, before I asked you a similar question about his role as a U.S. official and how it could impact his personal business, but I kind of want to flip it around this time. For example, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Javier Milei in Argentina. These are all leaders that Musk talks to. But when you look at his position inside the U.S. government, the co-head of DOGE, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, that's not a position that has a mandate to be talking with foreign leaders. You know, it's a very inward-looking position. How concerned should the U.S. government be that he's meeting with these leaders? Can it impact bilateral relations? Can it impact the Trump administration in a positive or negative way?
I mean, as we've all agreed, he can have a huge amount of influence. But I think so far, the Trump administration has been very much encouraging his role in shaping foreign affairs. They have actively included him on calls that he would otherwise have no mandate to be on, with, for instance, the leaders of Turkey and of Ukraine. So, I think Musk represents not really the reason that, political leaders speak to him is not because of his position as co-head of DOD, but rather because of the informal power that everybody knows that he wields in having perhaps the most personal line of communication directly to the incoming president, Donald Trump himself. But on top of that, I think it's worth considering, how durable this alliance is. There were a lot of early supporters of Donald Trump that by the end of his first term had deserted him entirely.
Well, they definitely don't see eye to eye on every issue. I think one of the issues that they don't see eye to eye on is electric vehicles, kind of, because Trump is a big supporter of fossil fuels, Amy. Elon Musk, obviously the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer in the United States. But we're also seeing Democrats who are supporting electric vehicles pushing back against Elon Musk for his support for the Republican Party in places like California. So, Amy, how is that going to play out? Because this is a major business interest for Elon Musk, but electric vehicles are a very politicized issue as well within the Republican and Democrat parties.
Right. So far, he's been able to pretty adeptly straddle that dichotomy. Donald Trump, is known for having very strong opinions that change in a moment, right? He very much reserves the right to change his mind at any moment. And I think that and his core base of support follows him, no matter what. So if he decides tomorrow that he's all in on electric vehicles, his core support that has sort of driven him to the presidency twice now will be with him. And so I think knowing that, Elon Musk moves forward in a really smart way where he's not pushing it. He's recognizing some political realities for Donald Trump, but he's also going to bring him along. And for progressives, who sort of begrudgingly have to admire Musk for some of the work he's done, particularly in this environmental space, they might be smarter instead of just fighting him to get on board in certain areas where they can find agreement. That would be my suggestion.
Halit, Amy, Manas, we're out of time for today. It looks like the sky's the limit for Elon Musk. Thank you for joining me on this conversation. And that's all for this edition of Straight Talk with me, Yusuf Aram. If you got any comments, please share them with us on X at Straight Talk TRT. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find more exclusive content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.